anxiety. I'm much too high to see that there's a higher me, a different side of me inside of me. But what a sight to see. Got too much pride in me to see it's all in spite of me. Ain't nothing changed, it's still my blood and sweat. Still can't find emotion behind the love and sex. Where the tragic and triumph, wonder what's coming next. I think we all should admit we ain't seen nothing yet. You don't know why.
I like that part right there.
You still ask why no one calls me by name. Sunshine in the sky, but I can see the rain. After all this time, I'm still gonna be the same. You ain't seen nothing yet.
And that's what I wanted to get it to, right there, that line right there. Well, that's my man T-Rad Radley. He was on the show a while back now, I think back in May. But hey, welcome everybody to the Michael Pina Senior Show podcast. And welcome to my YouTube viewers. Remember, subscribe to my channel, mpina2210 on YouTube. Before I introduce my next guy here, Casey DeLorenzo, you know, my interviews I've had before in the past, I started with like T-Rads. I actually had my son. We started with young people that had dreams for their future. What I want to show you is, you know, and I talk about getting out of debt and staying out of debt, you need to have a big enough shovel to get out of debt and stay out of debt. And I talk about having passion about what you do and being able to do that. And that's how you create that big shovel. So with that being said, this is my guest, Casey DeLorenzo from Casey Wildlife Service.
Thank you, Mike.
What's going on, my man? All right. So, Casey, before I tell my story about you, because I got to tell them how we reconnected. And that's a whole big thing, too. Building this community one person at a time. These are people I trust.
Yes.
People that I trust within my community. So tell everybody, like a comic book version, I say. If you had a comic book of Casey DeLorenzo, you know, a quick version.
Yeah.
Tell me about you, where you at today, where you were, and where you want to go.
Where I was, okay, you know, growing up, you know, I played baseball, met a lot of people, developed some great relationships that I've still maintained over the years. I was a young man, met my wife, got married, had kids, worked in a factory for, you know, probably about 6-7 years. From there, things changed. I moved on from there and was presented an opportunity to do the business that I'm doing now. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. That's a comic book version.
Yeah.
That's
good. Good.
So Casey, believe it or not, I coached him in Little League.
Yes.
So I'm going to tell you a quick story how we reconnected. And I talked about that in another show about reconnecting with old friends. And Casey was one of those guys that, you know, I talk about getting rid of your loser's friend, and then you bring somebody else on. Well, I got to reconnect with Casey in a strange way.
Yep.
As you know, I'm part-time at UPS. For all you people following a lot of my stuff, I got that, you know, everybody make sure you vote by October 5th. Got to vote by October 5th. But anyway, so I'm walking into UPS one morning, and I hear, Mike, is that you? I'm like, who is this?
Yeah.
And like, I think the last time I saw Casey might have been 10 or 11 years old or something.
I was probably 12 years old.
12
actually.
years
Yes.
old. 12 years old. Because
yeah,
played with my
leagues.
brother.
Yep.
Played with my brother Steve in Little League Baseball.
Yep.
All right. And, you know, we said hi, whatever, went on. And whenever I reconnect with somebody, what do? I go on Facebook, right? And lo and behold, I see, wow, Casey has his own wildlife service. I'm like, well, whatever. I got a guy right now that I'm using. You know, we have mouse problems. Brockton is tearing down buildings every day, and we're having more of a rodent problems. And we had one. It was going on for like 2 years with the guy that we had. Well, I'm sleeping one night before UPS, and my wife, Meg, wakes me up and says, something's flying around the house.
Yep.
I said, go back to sleep. It's a moth or something. Well, the next night, right when it starts getting dark, like around 9:30, I look up the stairs, and here comes down the stairs this friggin' bat.
Yep.
It's coming down the stairs. I'm like, holy shit.
Yep.
Now it's on. Me and my dog Iverson were running around chasing it. And I'm like, oh, hell no. And I look up Casey again. I go, he's got a bat as a symbol. Yeah. He must get rid of bats.
Yeah.
And I said, come on in and help me get rid of these bats.
Yeah. When I showed up at your house, Luckily, there wasn't a huge problem here, but there was a little bit of evidence in the attic space showing me that you had a little bit of a bat problem, explaining why you had a bat in your living space. So luckily, I was able to eradicate the problem, bat-proof your house, get the bats out of here, and now you're bat-free.
We're bat-free.
Yes.
And on top of that, and again, I'm not going to mention who it was, but I always say you got to get rid of people. You got to fire people if they're not working out. He took over my rodent problem. All right? This guy crawled around in some of the creepiest places that I would never go into, but he took care of it. That's what you got to do. You got to go where the mice go. You got to go in those spots. I've been mouse-free, for a year now?
Yeah.
Mouse-free for like a year?
You've been bat-free for about almost 2 years, and mouse-free, I've been helping the mice for a little while now. So, yeah, probably about a year and a half.
So this guy, that's my point. He'll get in there and he'll take care of what you need done. And I know in Brockton we got a rodent problem. There's rodent problems everywhere, unfortunately.
Yes, there
That's
is.
why his business is starting to grow.
Yeah, and a lot of times when it comes to like wildlife in people's homes and rodents in people's homes, a lot of times they go with each other. It's not unusual for me to find mouse problems inside of same attic space. I'm finding bat problems or squirrel problems or even raccoon problems. They all go along with each other. It's kind of weird. And the way the animals go, they kind of follow each other's tracks. They follow each other's smells.
Wow.
There's these things called pheromones that are coming off their fur that they can kind of smell each other and follow each other into the houses. That's why people have repeat problems until they get the house fixed.
So it's like they create a path.
Absolutely.
A path to this house to the nice and warm.
100%. Some of the people that I deal with have problems because the trees are too close to the house, and some of the people just have problems because it's easy for the animals to climb onto the house because of a gutter or a downspout or even just a railing that goes real close to the roof line. These animals are really crafty. They can climb all kinds of things. Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to back up a little bit. So we talked a little about, he's a critter guy. Yeah. He got rid of my stuff. I'm recommending him to everybody, all right? And that's why I wanted him on the show. Because these are people that I'm connecting with, reconnecting with, goes with everything in the show, including, now here's the thing, when did you start, or when did you have the passion to get into this type of business?
Well, I didn't even know I had the passion for the business. This is the awesome thing about what I got into here. For my whole life, I've been a people pleaser. I like helping people. I've always liked helping people, which is great. It's great for me everyday life. And I was kind of stuck in a factory where I helped my fellow workers or the people who worked under me, but I didn't really get to kind of do what I want to do. So when I had this opportunity present itself to me, I realized real quick that these people had a serious need that they had to have resolved, and they're not calling me just because they have to have me, or they need me there, they want me there, and they need that peace of mind, that reassurance, that long-term reassurance.
Right.
I show up and I take care of the problem right away, but I leave and they have that long-term peace of mind, not to worry about things as they go forward. And me being able to kind of help people kind of have that peace of mind, it's incredibly gratifying to me. And I get to get paid to do it. So it's like a win-win for me. The people-pleasing thing has always been a great thing for me. But, I can make a living. I can sustain a business doing what I do. And it works out really well. I like it.
So when did you had to go through some licensing process?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So when did you start getting licensed, and when did you actually start working in this field?
Right. So I started working in the field back in November 2002. Okay. I started working in 2002, and I got into the business. The guy I worked for originally was a little bit different. Didn't teach me the things the way I need to be taught, and I had to learn a couple hard lessons. After a couple years of me learning some hard lessons is when I realized that I needed certain license to do this stuff and training to do this stuff. I didn't realize how much it was involved with being a pack agent in Massachusetts, which is a problem animal control agent. So after a couple years of kind of learning the field and going around doing the things with the gentleman who ran the business, I started going through the process of getting licensed. After a couple months of studying, I was able to take an exam at the Mass Wildlife headquarters. passed the test and went to some classes, did my things there, passed those classes there, and became licensed through the state. And I've been licensed ever since like 2006 now.
So when you started out, so that was a 4-year process, because you said you started out in this in 2002. What were you doing for work at that time? How many hours were you putting at work, and then also studying for this?
Oh gosh, I would be working 50-hour weeks during the winter, and sometimes 60, 70-hour weeks during the summertime. We would work from sunrise to sunset. A lot of back problems. It took me a long time I'm talking multiple seasons of going through the process of these animals, their birthing times, the times to do things a certain way. It took me a long time to learn that part of the job before I even was comfortable enough to kind of take the test and get to that next step.
See, this is exactly what I'm trying to tell people out there, okay? First of all, like I tell people when they're stuck in what they want to do in life, I ask them, and I tell them to go ask other people that they're around. Ask them what you're most passionate about. Ask them what you do best. And ask them what you're most interested in.
Yeah.
And you get different answers from different people. And that's why I discovered how I'm doing what I'm doing now. Yeah. People say you like money and you love football and you love to be a coach. I'm like, wow, how can I put this together?
Yeah.
Financial coach,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So my point being, though, I'm not making big bucks right now. I got to work other jobs, other side hustles to keep myself going, keep myself sustained.
Yeah.
That's what you did. And this is what I try to tell people.
That's what I did.
It doesn't happen like I say in this microwave oven where everybody microwave oven society instantaneously.
No.
You put in 4 years of work before you could even start your own business.
No. I'm sorry. I want to make sure you understand. It took me about 3 to 4 years to get my proper licensing to do this stuff.
Wow.
My business didn't start till a couple of years ago.
Okay, so now you were working for somebody.
Yes, I actually worked for 3 other companies over the years.
Wow.
Yeah, I did it 5 years, and about 3 years with the final company before I said no more. It's time for me to, move on, try to do it for myself. And when I made that decision, it was kind of abrupt, and I wasn't 100% like ready. So I started doing other side stuff. UPS to help make ends meet. There was great things they offered me that allowed me to not only keep working, get my benefits, but also the hours allowed me to function and work my own job after leaving that job there. It was a win-win situation. They got a good work out of me, and I got a lot of opportunity from them. It worked out really well. I did that for about a year and maybe 7 or 8 months until it was time to. That was it with UPS, and now it's full-time CWS.
So, again, this is what I tell people though. So you go get your licensing. I always tell them, go work for another company. Go work for somebody else so you can learn.
Definitely.
So you can learn what your trade is going to be.
100%. I couldn't have fathomed the thought of trying to get into a business like I'm doing without having to work for somebody for an extended period of time, because it's not a type of trade that you pick up in a year or reading a book or watching a video. You got to experience some really interesting things to really get a full grasp of what the job's going to be about. And even then, you're always going to be able to ad-lib in a job like I do, because situations change dramatically in a heartbeat.
Every house is unique.
100%. And with the amount of animals that I deal with, which is, probably 12, 15 different animals that can be dealing with at any point in time, they all have their own little traits. They all have their own little things they do differently. They all enter the house in different ways in different areas. It's a lot. I kind of look at myself as an animal detective in a way when I'm doing this work, because I have to kind of identify all kinds of funky things just to try to fix the people's problems.
Right. So again, you went. So that's great. So UPS was like a side hustle to you.
It definitely was. Yeah.
A bridge to fill that gap,
yes,
to help you. And now your business, you've left UPS.
Yep.
And now you've been able to put all your focus and all your time into your business.
100%.
And now tell me what the success is like in that time period. If you had a bar graph,
yep,
you started out here and then your business started going like this. since you left UPS, is it going like this? Is it?
Yes. So, since I've left UPS, okay, my business has basically, in the 2 months since I left UPS, I've done as much business in this 2 months as I did my first full year in business.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. And, and I'm not talking, it's been really good. And that's because of a lot of things. I think it's because of my patience, my continuous trying to do a good job, get my name out there to people. So they tell people about me. I do so much social media. I don't do enough, but I do a lot of social media to try to help me along, because it's huge. If you do good for people, they're going to tell people about you. And I can't tell you how much jobs, how much work, how many referrals I've got through Facebook just because I do a good job for this one person, and it spreads around. One of the coolest things that happened to me about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was in Whitman and I took a bat out of someone's house. She called me up at like 8:30 at night, and I took a bat out of her house. It was pretty quick. When I was there talking to her, I asked her how she found out who I was, and she said she posted something on Facebook that she had a bat in the house. She said like 3 people replied with Casey Wildlife Services. When she looked at my Facebook thing, she said she recognized my logo from a few weeks prior to a past post that I posted.
Wow. That
must have showed up on her news feed somehow. So I had some logo recognition there, and she knew I was a person as soon as she found me. And I helped her out, and she had mice too. Yeah. So I'm going back to her every 6 months too. It's it pays dividends to do good work for people. I tell everybody all the time, integrity is everything. Without my integrity, I'm not nothing. And hopefully that shows in my craftsmanship and the way I treat people.
Absolutely. So. And it's like, I hope you saw my face when Casey told me, the success he's had. I told you, don't ever get jealous or envious of a person's success.
No.
Be happy for that success, because I felt that from him, and I want to see him grow, and I want to see everybody in this community grow. And that's what Casey's doing. And he talked about some key words about integrity, about facial recognition, about being social, about actually getting out there. And listen, if you're on Facebook, Casey Wildlife Services. Love the videos. Check out the videos. Love them. All right. But Casey Wildlife Services. All right. And I might as well put this in. Phone number 774-266-8170. And I'm going to say that a couple more times. Yeah, absolutely. I get excited. See, this is what happens. Yeah. It's like you feel it from the other person. His success is going to make me uplifted and feel successful. You know what I mean? I get energy from this instead of Debbie Downer making me feel like...
Yeah. Yeah. We know how that is.
We talk about that, right?
Yes, we have talked about it. Yep.
So we went through your whole business, basically, and everything.
Yep.
So now, and you talked about 12 to 15 different kind of animals you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Tell me the weirdest thing that you've had to deal with.
The weirdest thing I had to deal with, see, weird to me is not necessarily what's weird to other people. Yeah. So, I've taken numerous snakes out of people's homes. I've had to trap a fisher cat before. A weasel I've had to trap before. Weird. I don't know what. I don't know.
Like, what are you licensed? Are you licensed to
So I'm licensed. What's that?
Like in other words, let's say like a I see these on the news sometimes, like a boa constrictor gets loose,
right?
And it's like 20 feet long.
Yeah. So in a situation like that, a lot of times Mass Wildlife will get involved with that because it's an exotic creature.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not covered underneath my pack license.
Oh, I see.
I have a X amount of animals that are covered underneath my problem animal control license. Anything out of that realm is either going to be taken care of by Mass Wildlife, or if there's another license. There's other parts of the pack license that not everyone has, so they don't always need. Some of these pack agents are also recreational trappers. They actually still do it as the old school trade fur bearing type of people.
Right.
They do the whole spiel. And those guys acquire different types of trapping permits for the coyotes and things like that. I don't mess with. A bobcat, I don't mess with those.
Okay.
A coyote, the bobcat, Even the Fisher cat isn't necessarily like a problem animal for me because those animals don't necessarily move into people's homes. The worst thing that'll happen, they might mess with someone's chicken coop.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, if that happens, then they can call me. But even then, the coyote thing's a different type of license. My license never covers bugs. I don't deal with any bugs.
Yeah.
And honestly, I really don't have the time to do it anyways. And I really don't have any interest in it. I'd rather deal with the thing that interests me, which is the wildlife stuff. You know, I like doing this stuff because it's kind of cool. It's kind of neat, you know, and it's something different. You know, the bug stuff, I don't even get to see any bugs. I just, you know, I watch these people. They go around and spray it, you know, and it's not like that with me.
Right.
So
Right.
there's a kind of a neatness to my job. You know, I go up and do some really different things at different times with attic spaces and roofs and you name it. So,
And that's the thing. It's like, that's why, you know, Casey is incredibly thorough. So it's like, if you've got a problem, 100% get in touch with him. The thoroughness is just beyond belief. And I'm serious. Like, he crawled underneath my deck, my porch, you know, all these different little nooks and crannies.
yeah.
So,
And we worked with each other because there was a
Exactly.
process. You know, we had to have the hatch cut in your deck, in the front deck.
Right.
I had to come back at some time. You know, you know, that's one thing I'll always do for my customers. I work with them. You know, it's not always about what's my schedule. I'm here to work with people. That's why I like keeping it small right now and being able to give this personal service that people need. As I grow and get older and start to maybe hire people and grow like that, the people I bring on are going to have the same approach that I'm going to have. And this is how it's always going to be. And that's why my business will always stay like a mom and pop shop, small business, one-on-one type of thing. It's not going to be this big, you name the big pest control company that you want. And it's not that type of niche. It's not that type of company. It doesn't need to be that type of thing.
Right.
It's that's how things get lost. That's how people start having repeat problems. You know, it's just when people have an animal problem, they don't ever want it again.
exactly.
And that's one thing I realized. You know, when I work for the bigger companies, you know, one of several things that was kind of different about what I do is, you know, I was always the guy that, because I had my experience, that showed up and did the inspections. But I never got back and get to do the work. They always had other technicians going through and doing the work that I inspected. Unfortunately, there was a huge lapse of experience there.
Right.
And what I saw, what I did is not what the other technicians would have did. And all of a sudden, an issue would show up, and I would be the one going back out to the job to figure out what happened. It got to the point that I knew it could get done right the first time.
Right.
So that's
exactly.
why. Yeah.
And that person's a lot happier.
100%.
Right.
You know, it's, you know, Mike, you know, it's kind of cool for me, man. You know, since I've been in business, and it's been a couple years now, I've already had a couple customers I worked for literally 15 years ago in North Andover, Massachusetts, find me on the internet because they remembered my name and they remember who I was, and they wanted me to work in the house. They had bats 15 years ago. They had the work done by me. I helped them out. Well, they had new roof and new siding put on the house. The bats got back in there.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't call the company I was working for. They found me. And that made me feel really good.
Absolutely.
You know, it made me feel good. It made me realize that this is why I am doing this, because people want the job done right. When they do it right, they're going to keep talking about me and keep looking for me. And you know, it works out good. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. So before we go, I just want you to bring us through so they understand, if anybody sees this, they understand the process of when you start. Let's say a person has a mouse problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What that's going to entail for them to have you come to the house, what you're going to do, and what they have to do.
Yeah, so it's something like a mouse problem, a simple mouse problem. It's really basic. You know, I come out to the house, I kind of assess the situation, and the assessing consists of checking the attic spaces and the basement spaces, and usually any kind of like void in a house to see what kind of activity I may have, droppings and whatnot. From there, once I assess the situation on the inside, I take a look at the outside of the structure to see if there's areas on the outside of the structure that are allowing these mice to get through that I can maybe fix. Once I do that, I put together a proposal to kind of eradicate the problem. The trapping and stuff is pretty straightforward pricing. The prevention work varies a little bit, but it's usually kind of still within, a certain range. From there, once the customer makes a decision, I go out, do the work. On the first visit, I set the traps up and come back after about a week and a half, see what the activity level was, redo my traps, and then I go around the outside of the house and I do my prevention stuff. After that, I check back on my customers after 6 months, make sure everything's been good. I come out, I check on everything, see if there's any new activity, and kind of continue on a every 6 month cycle. Some of my mouse customers need me every 6 months because some of the mouse customers, the houses I can never completely fix for whatever reason. A deck, an addition, a porous foundation that might be kind of like busted up because of brick or fieldstone or something that I can't ever fix. Some of those customers need me back every 6 months. I've actually had a couple customers in my 2 years actually cut me off, and I did too good of a job. They called me for the mice. I did the trapping. I did the repairs. After 2 visits of me not having any activity and me telling my customers I don't have any activity, they say, "You know what, Casey? I'm going to hold off, and not have you come on anymore." And it's kind of a bummer because in a way I lose that 6 month customer reoccurring thing, but I also gained a heck of a reputation from them. And the mouse stuff is not what I'm all about anyways. I'm all about the bats. I do the mouse stuff because I can, because I have the knowledge, because it's been force fed to me over the years because of me having to try to identify what the heck's going on with these people's homes. So because of my experience, I'm able to help with the mice. But that's kind of how the mouse stuff goes.
And then with the bats, and it's like the same thing. It's like you're kind of like on retainer.
Correct.
Once you pay that money.
That's it.
So all of a sudden, if you get a mouse problem, then all of a sudden, like that happened with me with the bat, you would have just come. Correct. And because I paid that first 6 months, you come because every 6 months.
Correct.
Right?
That's it.
So the bats, you can't trap them and kill them. You have to evacuate.
Evict them.
Evict them.
That's correct. It's called an exclusion.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called an exclusion. Basically, when someone has a bat problem, also birds, also flying squirrels. Okay, all 3 of these animals get treated the same by me and by most people. But basically what I do to those animals is I put up a device called a one-way door up on the entry points along people's roof lines. The one-way door lets the animals that are living in the house at the time vacate, and the one-way door stops them from getting back in. The other areas around the house that the animals are not using but have the potential to use, I seal those areas off the same day I put the one-way doors on. So by the time I'm done the first day, the house is completely animal-proofed. One-way doors are put up in the appropriate spots. Well, whenever the bats or whatever the animal is wake up to leave the house to get food and water, the one-way door lets them out. That's the last time they're ever back in the house. When the animal's done feeding, they come back to the home. They go right back to the spot they came from. The one-way door won't let them back through. At that point in time, as long as I animal-proof the house correctly, and I usually do, the animals can't relocate back into the house that I treated. Then they move on usually to the house next door or a house down the street. These animals have been born in a house. That's all they ever know is a house. So they don't go move back into the trees. That's one of the several things that people misunderstand about these animals. They think they just want to live in the trees. Why don't they live in the trees? Unfortunately, most of our animals that I'm dealing with inside of people's homes already came from someone else's home. So they don't really understand what a natural habitat is for them anymore. There's been reports of bats living in houses since the colonial times, since the 1700s. So this is just an ongoing, reoccurring problem. And because bats are such a valuable animal to us, the government doesn't want anything other than humane evictions with these guys, because they are hugely beneficial to us as human beings with mosquitoes.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Yep.
So I mean, so you need something, you got a problem in your house. This is definitely the guy. And I'm telling you, those videos on Facebook, Casey Wildlife Services on Facebook. You can
And
see
YouTube.
exactly what
I got
he's talking
YouTube.
about.
I got
We got
yeah,
YouTube videos too.
Yeah.
On YouTube
Yeah.
also. What's the YouTube channel?
Casey Wildlife Services.
Casey Wildlife
Yes,
Services.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what we need to check
Yeah.
them out, because if you've got any problems, just check them out. I love them. I
Yeah.
think it's funny.
Yeah, and also to make it easy too, through my website, CaseyWildlifeServices.com, there's actually a link directly to my Facebook and my YouTube right to my website. So
get that. CaseyWildlifeService.com. One more time. I'm going to plug the phone number one more time here. 774-266-8170. And, this is the guy. And I'm telling you, I keep on telling you, get people in your community that's positive. Get people in your community that are going to, enhance your life. This is the guy that'll do that.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
So listen, before you go,
Yeah.
and look at, I tell people all the time, I like to educate. And this is something, Think and Grow Rich, okay? This book right here is an old school book written in 1937.
Okay.
But it's about business.
Nice.
And I believe that this will be a book that you need or could read. And my son dug that out for you.
Sweet, man.
Right, so
That's
so
cool.
a little something for coming
Awesome,
on the
man.
show today.
I appreciate
We
it.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
And again, I'll put all Casey's stuff and all my stuff, and I'll share it on Facebook. And again, CaseyWildlifeService.com, Facebook, all that. All right, guys. So until next time, I appreciate it. Let me see if I can end this with some T-Rads.
All right.
I don't know if I can. I'm not going to try it. Oh, wait a minute. I think I can. Let's see. 0, 2. There we go.
Nice. Nice.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you very much,
Hey,
Casey.
thank you for having me.
All right.
This is killer.
I know you ain't seen nothing.